Future Proof is sponsored by Equipping Young Adults for Life, inspiring student resilience, championing hope.
Yeah, that is me.
Hello and welcome to Future Proof. Thank you so much for joining me, Sarah Hopwood, as I'm nearing the end of this series, which is really focusing on education. I'm delighted to say that I have two guests in the room. One I've known for a number of years and another is relatively new to me. I'm going to let the ladies say more about themselves, and the debate today is going to be really centred around artificial intelligence in education. How will it work, and what support does education need, students need, and what do we think about it anyway? So I hope you enjoy the programme. Debbie Stevens, I've known for a long time, and Amanda Harley, I literally met last week, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Debbie, I met centuries ago, didn't I? And it was all about reflexology, but it developed on that, haven't you?
I like to think I've evolved, and along the way I've branched out into different kinds of wellbeing. I bring the wellbeing to the people now. So some people come to me for a one-to-one treatment, so whatever happens, whatever wellbeing event it might be, it always comes back to reflexology. And I've promised all of my clients that I would still do my one-to-one clients every week, so I've been true to myself on that. And so I've just evolved and created girls' nights out, hamper parties, little workshops. I've kind of grown up.
You've grown up, but also now you've known Amanda for a very long time, and the reason why Debbie's in the room is because she's worked with Amanda in education as well, and I think you actually helped Debbie get into education, didn't you, with the reflexology?
Yeah.
So Amanda, can you tell us who you are and what you're doing, because it's consultancy, isn't it? And then can you say a little bit more about how you and Debbie have worked together?
Yes, so I'm Amanda Harley. I'm a leadership coach now, having had a very long career in education, teaching, and I know Debbie because you started by doing wellbeing events for staff, didn't you?
I did.
And we met at various conferences, and every time we met, like, are you going to bring this in for the children? Are you going to support children as well? And then it developed not just wellbeing for the staff, which is so important, but then it developed into wellbeing for the children.
And Amanda probably wouldn't say it herself, but she's actually a former head teacher as well, and so consultancy is now your thing. So that's taken a nuggets of all your knowledge. And so you talk about leadership. Can you say in more detail, what is that? What do you mean by consultancy in education?
Yes, I think when you are in charge, leading in education, but also in lots of businesses, you become quite isolated, quite on your own, and so it's giving back that confidence, that self-esteem, that belief in yourself, and that networking, so that the leaders can support each other. So I'm trying to coach people in how to look after themselves, how to believe in themselves, that confidence. Just giving back some of that.
So it's not just education then, it is...
Well, so I started in education, that's my love, but I've also just become a business mentor, so not just education, using those nuggets of sort of my ups and downs in leadership to support others. So it might be in other things too.
Fantastic. So I know, Debbie, you haven't just worked with teachers, you've actually worked with the students as well and teach them, and I think we heard a quote earlier where students were saying, I can actually do this myself, so they're not reliant on. But how does all this fit with artificial intelligence, girls? I want to come to you actually, Amanda, immersed just for a second in the leadership. Is there a place, or do you see artificial intelligence dominating education as many think it will?
Oh, I hope not. I so hope not. The way that teaching works is that because you have that positive relationship, that amount of respect and trust between the grown-ups and the children, that's what gives you that basis to then be open to learning.
Yeah.
Unless you've got that, then children aren't going to be ready to learn.
No.
So artificial intelligence it's got a place. It's good for practicing. It might be good for consolidating, but it's never going to know the bit that your misconception, the bit that you don't quite know, or the bit that is holding you back, or the way that you learn, or the bit that's getting in the way. It's never going to know.
I love the fact you nearly said emotional intelligence as
Yes,
well.
No, that was so on my lips.
It's all related.
I mean, how does a robot feel? How does a robot feel when a child or the emotion changes? Because it changes just like that.
Yeah.
You could be in a room and you know, just by looking or feeling who your students are in front of you, who's actually engaged and who's not. A robot's not going to know that. They're just going to keep going. And how are they going to pick that up where Johnny doesn't know that certain thing?
The funny thing is, and it's a challenge not from me, but I've interviewed AI people and what have you, and they are saying robots are knowing this. Robots are being programmed to, and they're even programming in emotional intelligence, emotional responses, emotional understanding. So thinking of your role in wellbeing and reflexology, I know you've done education, is there a role for you preparing teachers and students for the invasion, I was going to say?
Well, it could be. It could be an invasion.
Of AI?
Well, for me, I've obviously got to look at how my business can evolve now into the digital world, haven't I? So because of all the COVID and there'll be other viruses, they won't just, this is one we're just learning about. There's probably lots more that could come out. So I've got to be able to show, tell and make people understand what the sensation is when they're touching their skin, their own skin. Now the difference would be if I was in a workshop and we were allowed to not have the social distancing, I could say to you, Sarah, let me just touch your hand, let me just see how that tension feels, and I would be able to tell, you've painted a beautiful picture of, how you've dressed and how you look today, but actually inside there's a whole load of worms going on and it's all wriggly and spiralling out of control. So, by touching and feeling sensations, I don't know if a robot could do that.
Again, sensory stuff, they are teaching them the sensory stuff, but it is still a good debate, and for me it's the accuracy of it. They might have an electronic response to what's going on, but it is the accuracy of it. So for example, I don't know if you saw, Tony Robbins was interviewed by a robot, and she was smiling, what have you, and the thing is, I was thinking then, a smile, a robot might recognise a smile, but you and I would both recognise if it was incongruent, if it was a false smile.
Yeah, that's right.
And the question is, would a robot recognise that? Just before we go into the break, remind me of your business name first of all.
So I'm Debbie Stevens from Wellbeing Events.
It's Wellbeing Events. Can you say a little bit more about reflexology? Because there are some people probably thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about. So you literally have a couple of minutes. What is reflexology, if you're able to do it in a bit of a nutshell?
Of course I can say that. So reflexology was introduced to us by the Egyptians some 6,000 years ago. And we know that because inside the pyramids there's lots of pictures and paintings around the walls of people doing hands and foot treatments. So back in the day when it was with the Egyptians, they called it zone therapy, and the idea was that you had 10 zones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 makes 10. And if you work this finger or this toe, you'd be working every organ and gland, because what happens is the reflexology is it's not crossed over.
Oh,
it's not crossed over. So every organ and gland is mapped out on your hands, your feet, your face and your ears. Now I concentrate on the hands and feet because I just love that, and I like to give people homework, while they're not having a treatment with me. I like to empower them to take control of their own well-being. When they're feeling stressed, they can massage their fingers, because all the fingers is everything to do with their head.
So literally in the last minute, what we're saying is reflexology is from the touch or the igniting, I can't think of the right word. Stimulate, that's right.
You stimulate.
And by stimulating your fingers and what have you, it impacts somewhere else in the body. Through what system?
So it's all through, through the nervous system. So if I massage the tops of my fingers just by doing this, I'm actually stimulating the top of my head. If I massage all of my fingers, that's my scalp. If I massage, so if you imagine that this area here, this is all your face and teeth.
Oh, right.
And down here is the neck. So if I massage this, all of my fingers on this side, I'm actually stimulating the blood flow to this side of my brain.
Right, we're going to go into the break. Just before we do, I know, Amanda, you've had some cream, so you were massaging your hands before
I'm
coming on
doing
air.
this.
I think it's supposed to make you feel a bit better.
So Debbie's thing is that she gives out cream before anything that we do together. She just gives out cream, and just from years of listening to you, I'm sitting here rubbing the palm of my hand, because it's something I've also been doing with children.
Yeah.
And
Fantastic.
it's just that thing about it's something to do with your hands.
Yes.
And it's reassuring.
And then
you're
yours.
just. And it's mine, yeah. So COVID, it's all very, good at that kind of.
Well, I think we might need to get some more cream out for the second half. So hand cream, of course.
Yeah.
And so do stay with us and massage your fingers in between time, and we'll find out more just after the break. See you in just a moment.